Hi, she's Trixie and I'm Sarah, and this is our Yarn World, a place where we come to share with you our love for the yarn crafts and all that it provides for us, and all that we are able to provide to others with our crafts. Today is we come from Muskegon, Michigan, and we've been dealing with the Arctic storm that has been blowing through from
the Arctic blast.
Yeah, it's been coming through from Canada, and it's been crazy. We've been dealing with very, very low temperatures. My car batteries have been freezing. They won't start. There's a whole bunch of things have been happening.
Oh, snow. The last time we videotaped,
it was just starting.
We just had gotten done with the filming and the storm hit, and we had to go somewhere, and the roads were already slick, just starting out, and we got I can't even tell you,
probably three feet of snow.
Yeah, and
easily 3 feet of snow in this last week.
Then
some of it just over the night.
We filmed last Thursday, and by Sunday it was a lot of snow, and we're still dealing with gray skies, but the snow is dissipated, but the temperatures are not still down in the freezing.
Oh, it's reaching down to 0 at night. It's
sub-zeros, and when I was coming here today, it was only 6 degrees, and that is not fun. So,
well, I know other places in the world are worse. They're dealing with a storm a lot worse than we are. We are being very blessed. We don't live in the northern part of Michigan where they're actually having to tunnel through some of their.
The Upper Peninsula can have 6 to 9 months of just not pleasant weather. To my eyes. So
part of the reason that I'm addressing this is because on the other side of this main wall, on the other side of this window, is the road to my house, and they are snow plowing. And I kind of wanted to segue so that if you understood that if you hear anything, it's likely just a snowplow.
Yeah.
And if you hear meowing, it's because of my cat. She is still kind of a kitten, and she likes to find any sort of nook and cranny to be able to squeeze into, to get into my kids' rooms while they nap and wake them up. So to prevent that from happening, she was locked in the bathroom. She does have access to her litter and her food and water, so she's okay. She gets enough love, but if you hear any sort of meowing, it's because of that. I realized that in the last couple of videos you probably have heard that, and I wanted to address it real quick.
Yeah.
So now that that's out of the way, we're going to get ready into talking about our whips and some of the fun things that we have gotten and want to share with you this week. We're super excited. We have a lot to actually share in this small time that we have together. And so I invite you to get something warm
or cold.
And
I have ice water today.
And I got a hot caramel macchiato today.
Ooh. And
just get ready for a good time.
Yeah. So I'm going to start out by telling you that the muted boy and girl blankets measured 60 by 40. So that's a good size blanket for the kids to grow into and to put on their beds and to bring out for movie nights or whatever. So
another thing my husband was mentioning right now, I shared with you guys last week that I'm working on a Mario blanket.
Yeah.
And he had mentioned that one of the beautiful things about crocheted or knit blankets is that, especially crocheted ones that come in certain patterns, you can add on to them. Over time, you can make more borders or blocks or something.
That's so true.
And if they are a child's blanket, depending on how attached they are to it, depending on the condition that it's still in, you can actually just continuously build it so that it's something that lasts them a lifetime.
I have never thought of that before. That is so cool.
Well, the reason why I said that was because when we were making this Mario blanket, there was a lot of different corner to corner patterns where it was like each block that was a part of the Mario Afghan was a different character from Mario, or a different like creature, artifact in the game, whatever it was, and it was in these squares. Well, there was this one Afghan that was like different shapes put together, puzzled out, and it was very, really cool, but it had all these figures and all these characters from Mario in it. Really, really cool. And James had said, if eventually you got good at this where you could just make the middle portion like a big portrait of Mario, or a Peach, or Luigi, or whoever character you're doing, and then you could make... And he was thinking about this. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to do this, so I'm just saying this, but this is what he was brainstorming. To my nephews that I had made the Mario and the Bowser for, he had said make a blanket for them that was just the character that they liked, and then as they grew up, make more blocks that were Mario themed and just add on to them so that it was building as they grew up. And like with my other nephew that likes sharks, make like a shark attack with a shark attack pillow, and just all the and then wild animal sea creatures. Just like the idea was like endless, where it was like you just build on, it keeps going. And
yes, I like that.
I didn't mean to interrupt you, but just the idea, crocheting, especially crocheting, because I feel like knitting, it does have that, but when you knit a blanket, I feel like it's in one complete session because of the patterns. You can build off of them if you do it in squares as well, but when you're doing it in one whole go, it's not the same as crochet, where you can just take one needle and start building off of. With two needles, you kind of have to be committed to the cause and just make it all in one go. You know, if any of you are a little bit more, have a little bit more of a pursuit to build off of, already knitted blankets and want to still create more, knit more off of it, go you, awesome you. But I feel like there's just something to this whole idea of making blankets for kids. And if they really like it, and especially kids that get attached to their blankets, kind of like a Linus deal. Yeah. Which, Linus. We could actually make it something that they can really keep, that they could actually like functionally use all the way up into a marriage if they really wanted to.
Take it to college with them and into the marriage.
And I mean, it doesn't have to be awkward. I'm not saying you push the idea on your kids, but if they really like it, why not? There's nothing wrong with building off of something they already love and create memory. Because just being like, I remember when you added this on because I was this age, or I remember this because, oh man, it wasn't fitting me anymore. It wasn't fitting my new size bed when I upgraded to a bigger kid bed or something. Like, it's just, it's cool. And I really think that you making these blankets for the grandkids and the nieces and nephews, it'll be something that you could be able to add on to.
Yeah. It's a really, really, really good idea.
and you made it where it's like girl and boy colors, which is nothing wrong with that. But if over time their interests change or their style changes, you can just incorporate it in.
Yes, they can get their colors that they want in there.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I'm sorry about that. That was a segue, but an idea for you.
In that light, I have another finished blanket.
This girl just pops them out.
Well, I thought about it. I had started the third grandchild's blanket, and I still have that here to show you the progress that I've made. But a couple days into it, I thought, oh my goodness, my daughter-in-law's birthday's coming up on the 17th, and I don't have anything for her yet, and I know she likes pink. So I just thought about it, and I thought, well, I could keep in with this scrappy blanket, but the theme of it being scrappy. So what I did was I took light pink all the way to my darkest pink, and the light pinks I added white. I just wound them all together into balls, and I had some white with some silver sparkle in it, and I wound that into it.
With a medium pink.
Yeah, and the lighter.
Oh, okay.
And then as the colors got darker, I started adding, instead of white, black. And so it became a very gradient blanket as it went along. I did it in triple crochet. I did it with a size L hook. And it
so pretty.
came out so pretty.
Here's the beginning with the lighter pink and the white.
And then going into the medium with the sparkle.
I don't know if you can see the... It has sparkle yarn in it, but look at this.
And then we got
It's so
going
pretty.
into the darker colors with the black in it until you get to almost a neon with the black in it. And that's ending the blanket. But it's just a lap blanket, something for her to sit on the couch and just cuddle up and watch a movie with.
It's really thick because these are like
Double strands.
I would say two worsted weight yarns
Yes.
rolled up into one, and she's using them as one strand, so it's like
Yeah.
4. It would be the equivalent of 8. Like, most 4-ply yarns are said that way because they are 4 strands of yarn wound together.
Yeah.
So this is equivalent of then 8 of those yarns, and so it's really chunky, it's really thick, it's really heavy, and this really reminds me of that it was a style, especially in the early 2000s, of hot pink against black patterns that were almost like leopard print, but they used hot pink
Right.
against the black striped look, and that was very big style.
Right.
And I really think she's gonna like that because that's really her
Yeah.
era
Yeah.
that when she started to mature.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I really think this is going to be something that she really is going to enjoy.
So her birthday's on the 17th, and we'll let you know next week how she likes it.
I think she's going to love it.
So, and now I want to show you the progress on Nicholas's blanket. He's the one who likes blue. So everything that I'm doing is blue in another color. And it doesn't matter what shade of blue or what other color, as long as it's... for me, I don't want to put red in it. His brother likes red, and he likes blue. So I'm keeping all the red for his brother and all the blue for Nicholas. And so...
Look at this! Ain't this, this is so cool. Now, she's using double crochet with this, right?
half double crochet
So,
and a L hook, and it's worsted weight double strands.
so same as the other blanket, but
Yeah.
the stitch is smaller, so it's a little thicker.
Yep.
Because there's not as many gaps in this due to the other one having to be made quicker. You use the triple, so
Right.
it's it almost has that feeling of like a granny square where it kind of has like a little bit of that give, a
Right.
little bit of that, whereas this one's like it's solid, it's
Yeah.
thick.
And the boys are getting bunk beds. So Mom and Dad are getting them bunk beds once the tax money comes in.
So much
So they're
fun.
each going to have their own blankets come Christmas.
Oh, so
And something nice and sturdy and warm, and yeah, so it's really nice to be able to contribute something to them for their new beds and for Christmas, and getting it done early so that I don't have to sit there and worry about it, because I'll tell you that when I figured out on Saturday that I needed to make this for the 17th, and it was like a rush job. and I had to wind all those balls. And I'm not doing that with this one. I'm just picking a ball as I go, because I have time. But for hers, I just wanted the colors wound together, knowing that there was enough, because it was wound at the beginning, right, the two strands together all the way through till the end. I knew there was exactly the same amount all the way through the ball. And but with this, I'm just picking a color as I go. And I'm just making sure blue is always in it and another color is with it. But it's just nice knowing that you can do that, have time. The next one will be all in reds and another color, and but no blues, because I want those boys to each have their own color and not sit there and have to worry about, oh, well, he got some of the blue or he got some of the red. Not that they might not even think that way, but for me as Nana, I want to make sure they get their own special colors.
When she was when she had finished winding up the balls, her Amber's blanket, and was about to start on Saturday, she had sent me this photo of all the balls wound up with their own color. There you go. So yeah, like I said, she wound them up together, and she was just about to get ready to start it on Saturday.
And I finished it took me 4 days. So Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I was done on Tuesday night. And I went right back to Nicholas's blanket after that, because although I was able to finish it and get it done and everything, triple crochet is not my favorite. I had to think about it a lot more. I don't do that stitch a whole lot. Half double crochet is one of my favorite stitches. It's just easier for me to do, and it makes a really thick, nice blanket, and I just like it a whole lot more. So Nicholas's blanket is a lot easier, a lot more fun for me. I can pick out the colors as I need to, and although I really like the pink blanket, I like how it turned out. I'm glad it's done. So.
No, we all have that. It's same with my projects with the boys over Christmas.
Yeah.
Even though they were fun to make and I love the end result, it was just nice to have them done.
Yes, yes.
So, I guess it's my turn. Not much to report. I mean, I'm making that Mario blanket like I said. I can show you what it's supposed to look like in the end again. I know these colors are very hard to pick up, but you can see that silhouette. It's a very big blanket. It has a lot of squares. And I have a lot to work through. A lot of granny squares. I'm doing a lot of these right now. And I'm not going to just show you a stack of my granny squares. I can't wait for this blanket to be done. I hope that it will be something that someone can really enjoy, as I am making it for a profit. A lot of my projects are not going to be like that, but it is something that we're invested into to see if this is something that is going to be worth me doing. So it's kind of it's a test. But, or is there something you were going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say, if making for profit, that just reminds me that the candy hearts, the conversation hearts that she made last week, all of a sudden it came to me, I know it was God, came to me that I should buy those. There's a very special reason. One being, I wanted to support her business. Second, she already had them made, and another thing that was coming up is my son's first anniversary to his wife Maria. Josh and Maria were married last year on Valentine's Day. And what better gift than to give them the conversation hearts, chill.
It was Netflix and chill and Kiss Me.
And Kiss Me, for their first anniversary, and they're going to put them on their bed. And it was something to celebrate her new start of a new business. It was something for me to buy and give, and it was actual gift for my son and his wife for their first anniversary. So it
And
was
for
all,
Valentine's.
yeah, and it was so perfect for all of us that it would happen that way.
And they were thanking me because of, and Netflix and chill might be a saying, but for them it's real. They that's part of their downtime. They sit down,
That's
watch
their
some
date
Netflix,
nights.
and they watch some Netflix and just relax and enjoy time with each other. And apparently, when she pulled that that pillow out, she was just
She was ecstatic.
And I know that, and I know my brother had texted me saying thank you too, and I really thought of them when I was doing the Netflix and chill one. It was really funny that my mom even mentioned even buying them for them, because I was sitting back when I was making them, just being like, man, I know Netflix is something that they really enjoy watching together, and I was just always sitting there, just because I've seen Maria even just be on Facebook, just being like, I can't wait for this weekend when I can just sit down with Josh and just have some time to watch some Netflix. And so for me, when I was doing that, I was actually thinking about them, but again, I was gonna. Even though my intention at the time that I was making them was not to sell them, when I realized when I was done that there's something that I could sell, it just seemed perfect. And so I'm really glad that it ended up working out, that they are something that I get to see in action. There's something about being able to see something being used and loved by someone who's actually going to appreciate it, because we all know that it's very hard to see work that we know took time, took effort, even if we didn't make it, and just be misused by someone who doesn't understand the art or craft of it. And I appreciate that they went to good homes.
Yeah.
I, again, am not going to be sharing a stack of granny squares with you, just because it's just not going to be a lot of fun. And unlike when my mom was making her squares, they're just solid colors. They're not anything that are like really, my mom's had a lot, ombre had a lot of character to them. Mine aren't going to have character until they are mapped out.
Yeah.
And create a character. But I do have some acquisitions to share with you, some things that I think you might enjoy. My mom had shared with you last week how she was keeping her crochet hooks and how she kept her things put together.
Yeah, my notions bag.
And I don't have a notions bag. When I don't remember how old I was. I want to say it was like 11, 12 years old. My dad is one of those people during Christmas time that he has to make it so that everyone has a ton of gifts, regardless of whether those gifts are, and I don't mean this in a negative way, he's a very good gift giver. He is very thoughtful.
That's his love language.
It is his love language. He is very thoughtful when he gives gifts. I'm not to say that, but he also just likes the ability to buy and give. So sometimes not all the gifts have any more meaning than just they're fun. He found them. He thought that we might like them, sort of a thing. They might not have had any other purpose than to bring him joy and to giving, if that makes sense.
He doesn't like giving gift cards. He would rather see people open things.
Yeah, so this is going somewhere. There was one year, he always likes to have like one gift that's generally an edible gift, it seems. He likes to, it's either candy or chocolate or something like that. It's just, it seems, it's like one of them is generally,
or like the hot cocoa year.
Yeah, like, like hot cocoa with a cup and a mug, and it's like a whole kit, or like a whole kit of like chocolates, or a whole kit of candy, or but there's almost a theme of like, generally that theme when it comes to something like that is not only seasonal, but it's also in the sport of watching a movie, like getting down to watch something, because that's one of his favorite pastimes. Well, one year he got these little cans. I don't know if these were around Okay, so when I was 11 or 12, that was over 10 years ago, so about a decade ago. I don't know how many people have Kmart's anymore, but like in the spirit of when Kmart's were open, I want to say this is where he got them, or it was at Walmart's.
He doesn't really like Walmart, so I would think
But,
Kmart's more.
Well, back then he did go to Walmart quite frequently. The reason that he doesn't like Walmart anymore is more for our Walmart location is just kind of run down and doesn't have that great of standards in the people that work there. It does not mean that Walmart in and of itself we're against.
It's still a good store. It's just that he preferred Kmart.
Yeah, and but I just remember that it could have been at Walmart at the time. It could have been at Kmart. We don't have our Kmart anymore, but he got us all these lifesavers. It was this whole tin of lifesavers, the hard ones, and they were all in these individually packed packages. They were in the packages that were kind of like not meant for sale.
Right.
They were all their sale
they were meant to be in here.
In here.
Oh no.
My mom got a call from some random person, you know. Well, these tins, me and my mom saved.
Right.
And the top just kind of pops off. And I have always kept my crochet hooks in this way. They almost perfect. I'll just pull one of them out. I'm not going to pull them all out. But they almost perfectly fit in the container. And this holds quite a bit. Like I have one set of, I don't know what these ones are called.
The ergonomic
set, and then I have a set of plastic ones, and then I have my boy and
Susan
Bate aluminum ones. And they fit in this, and so it's a good way for me to remember a good Christmas gift, and also be able to get a use out of it afterward. And
it's funny, all the colors on here you have in your hooks.
And my hooks. So I don't know. I think that there's something to repurposing things. We've talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
You know,
it's kind of perfect.
My mom is repurposing a really cool pencil case for her notions bag.
Yeah.
I generally use a tin or a cup. My great grandmother used a old pill bottle that was very long and narrow. And I have it somewhere. When I find it, I will show it.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It was so cool. And it's just cool. It's just cool to see what people use. It's really, really creative. And it's inspiring.
I like this next thing too.
I don't know what these are called.
Just over the arm.
I saw this on Pinterest. I never seen it in action before, but it's a little bag that its intention is for you to sling your arm through the bag like this so that's on your forearm, and then as you're crocheting you have the yarn in the bag and you're just able to crochet and go. So you're able to just kind of like stand up and just if you and your project just stays with you, because the yarn is being almost hammocked in this bag so that when you move you don't have to like because
previously she used to put it under her arm.
Well, yeah, so my with my kids, they need me to move real quickly sometimes, and so I've gotten used to keeping my yarn underneath my arm like this, and I generally pull from its center, especially because I use a lot of Red Heart yarns that let me have that ability. And so I would just have it underneath my armpit. I know it's probably hard to see like that, and I would just move like that, and it works. I mean, it's fine, but I was inspired, and I made this bag, by the way. The idea came to me on a pin where it was a fully finished bag. It was made a lot better with finished edges, and it was double lined, and just, you know what I mean? Like, it was actually made well. I made mine out of a t-shirt that I wasn't using, and I just kind of figured it out on a piece of paper, and I just made one. If you are interested in making anything close to this, I am willing to map it out and show it to you in the next episode.
Yeah, that sounds good.
It's not that big of a deal if you're just willing to buy it online, because I know that Etsy shops make these.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're called, like I said, but
I think it's a over the arm
yarn bag.
holder. Yeah, arm bag.
It's maybe just a yarn bag, arm yarn bag. Arm yarn bag. Dear Lord. But it's a really, really nice idea, and I'm gonna see if this really works for me. And I hope it does. I really hope it does, because, like I said, I end up having to pick up and move a lot with my projects. And if I can just make bags that just always are permanently affixed to my arm when I'm starting a project, that way if I have to sit up, everything is coming with me.
Right.
It makes it easier than having all this stuff either underneath my arm or sprawled out on the side of my chair or table or cushion next to me, and I'm always trying to pick it up and go with my kids.
Right.
Another thing that, again, my mom got for me. My mom is the thriftaholic, and she's been finding a lot of pattern books for me or in herself. And this is, again, another kids making kids clothes. And so I'm pretty excited, because I really think that this is a good idea. Like, it's such a good medium start, because I feel like you can go all the way in if you really want to try out making clothes. But if you get some sort of grasp as to how the shape and how things are constructed and a smaller scale, it gives you a little bit more boosted confidence and the ability to know that you kind of got some of the kinks out of the way by having practice on a smaller scale. And kids' clothes really can do that. And also, if you have kids in your life, you can make clothes for them that can kind of show off their style. Like, I know that with kids' clothes, especially in older, like when I'm thinking back on like the 80s and the 90s patterns that I always grew up sprawled around, because my great grandmother was a huge crocheter, and she would actually make doll clothes.
Yeah.
And my other grandmother would make slippers, and I always grew up with my grandmothers making at some scale clothes. And my grandmothers would let me take their old pattern books, and I would look, and it was like that old, I say old, I don't mean to criticize in any negative way, but just the 80s and 90s style of, like, they always had like that shag carpet with the really, really nice orange, like the green shag carpet with the orange background,
and the gold
and the golds, and like all of those really, really nice complementing colors together, because they really are complementing colors. Even though they're not the modern colors of homestead anymore, they really do complement each other. And there's something to that, those contrasts in colors, and the outfits that would be made, and what was inspired, and what still is inspired by those designs. And you grow, and you also appreciate. And there's something about you know, I feel like yarn crafting has a staple of not aging well, especially with people that always label it as the grandmother's craft.
Yes,
but
but nowadays you can pick your own colors.
well, that's not it. You can now, yarn is something that does not age. In the sense of, yes, yarn itself physically can age like anything else, but the craft is easily adaptable. And that's one of the things that I find so cool, is it's so flexible. Like, I made the Bowser and I made the Mario, and even though most people would be like, that's cool, oh, that's cool, for me, that's really like a milestone of like, this isn't just an outdated craft, we can bring relevance to it, and it ages well. And I just know that when I was a kid growing up saying that I liked this, there was always a stigma of, what are you just, just sitting over here with your grandmother just making some random 80s nonsense. And I'm just like, what if I was? Does it really matter?
But you're learning a new craft.
Right, but there's something about just being able to bring your own touch, your own something with you
to the table.
Something that represents your era,
your own touch, your own tension, your own colors,
your own feel,
the way that you make things
and perceive the world. Something that really shows you off. And I just think that it's really cool. And my daughter has such spirit, such funk, that I want to be able to show off some of her unique character, and something that I can interpret her character and be able to make pieces that really, really show off who she is. And so making things at this scale is going to be something really good for me and beneficial for me, learning how to make clothes and at the same time practice on her scale.
Right.
So it's like hitting two stones, hitting two goals at the same time.
Remember last week when I said that I had ordered a rubber stamp? It came. It needed to be made. It's got 8 lines on it, and it was made, shipped, and got to me within 3 days. That is amazing to me.
It's insane.
So I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to read that.
Here, I got it.
But it says start and end date, pattern and designer, hook size, yarn brand, yarn size, colors, amount used, and notes. I got to choose the lines, whatever I wanted on those lines that would fit within the parameter of the 1.5 by 1.5 inch square. I thought those were going to be important to me. I'm going to stamp them into my own journals from now on. It'll tell me the start date, the end date, the pattern, the designer, whether that designer is me or someone else. The hook size used, that's very important to know. Yarn brand, I usually use worsted weight, but sometimes you want to know the exact brand of yarn. Lionheart, Woolies, whatever it is.
Red Heart.
Karen, whatever it may be. The yarn size, again, worsted weight, 4-ply, baby yarn, chunky, whatever that may be. The colors used. If you're trying to replicate something, you need to know exactly what those colors were. You may not get the same lot number, but you want to know whether it's coffee or
goldenrod
or
hot sauce. I have had yarns with the name hot sauce.
Yeah, you want to know that specific color so that you can get the same look. You want to know how many ounces or skeins were used. So I specifically wanted the amount used. You can put grams, you can put the, how many yards you used. You can use how many skeins you used, however, whatever you wanted to use. And notes. Notes are very important to me. I'm a writer. I like to have any kind of notes, and I specifically put that at the bottom because I know me, and I know that I'm going to be putting lots of different kind of changes, whatever I wanted to, whether I
Remember.
how I did the project in the first place. What brought that to my memory. If I thought of an idea, what brought that about, or how did I come up with that certain pattern. I can put that all in the notes area. I just thought this was going to come in so handy for me, and it's all done in rubberized red rubber, and it's perfect. They say what they're going to do, and they do it. And I can't remember. I believe it was rubberstamps.net. But I will make sure to link it in the description so that if you guys want to go there and figure out if you would like to make your own, have your own personalized stamps made with whatever lines you want, whatever's important to you. It doesn't even have to be yarn related. It can be anything related. So yeah, this is, and it was only like $11 plus the shipping and handling. It altogether came up to like $16-14, and I don't think that's bad for something that's personalized and comes in 3 days. So that is my acquisition for this week.
Well, not only.
I didn't acquisition that. I made that.
Oh, okay. All right. Corrected. I was corrected. Want to show off yours?
Sure.
I'm still trying to figure out
yesterday I found a lady on YouTube who made something that Sarah and I were thinking about buying. As she said last week, she's such a tight crocheter that she ends up getting yarn marks on her tension finger. It digs right into her finger. And sometimes she has to use rubber bands just to get rubber bands. I'm sorry, Band-Aids to have that yarn glide over her finger and not cut into it. And there are these certain rings that have a loop at the top that you can string the yarn through, and it's supposed to keep the tension for you but keep it off your finger. And so the lady that I was watching last night, she was reviewing some stuff from Dollar Tree that you could use in your crochet life. One of them being that she bought some floral wire, and she made her own ring to keep the tension. And I watched her. I was still watching her. I was texting Sarah, and I had watched this on my television set. I got on my phone. I found the exact video on my phone and linked it to Sarah, and
she was like, watch this right
you gotta
now.
watch this video. And later on that night I decided, you know what, I've got some wire in the house, and I've got wire cutters in the house. I can try this out and see if it's gonna work for me. And so it's not professional. It's it's something that I made myself, but it fits. And Sarah's using it right now, so I guess it works. I made a couple for her and one for me, and here it is. Like I said, it's not professional. You're just gonna loop your yarn through the hole, and it will, as it's getting fed through, you can keep the tension that way, and it doesn't have to go over your finger anymore. And she's using it, and it looks like it's working.
Yeah, I have to. I'm pushing the ring a little tighter on my finger just because I am still using the yarn with a stronger grip, because that's what I'm used to. So I kind of have to keep the ring and tight on my finger so that it stays there. It doesn't roll, because that was always my concern, was like, what if it rolls? What if I'm constantly having to readjust it? I'm going to get frustrated with it and I'm not going to want to use it. But at the same time, this is working. Like, I know you probably can't see it very well, but it's staying put. And yeah, my finger might not, I mean, my fingers should be fine. My fingers are fine. This is so much more comfortable than the yarns going on it, for sure.
And an idea that I had last night was to use my my light bulb hook, and my safety pin, and to hook it to my project. When I hook my progress creeper on there, I can just hook it right to it, and it's right there on my project for the next time that I get to it.
It's so cool. I think I'm gonna, depending on how my kids play with my little like scissor necklace, because when it's folded.
Yeah.
And they, you know, because I'm wearing it, they pull on it, they tug on it. So my original idea was to use my light bulb safety pin holding that to this, but I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to do that. But if I'm using it with my yarn bag anyway, I can just safety pin it onto this.
Yeah.
Or
that's a really good idea.
Or like she says, safety pin it to my project. So it's going to, I think that this is going to be something that I use regularly.
Yeah, I think it's a really good idea for both of us.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this. I wasn't sure if it was going to work, but it's working.
And just to know that YouTube came through in a pinch again.
Seriously.
This lady, I've never watched her before, and all of a sudden I saw that she was reviewing stuff from Dollar Tree to use in your crochet, and it was like, oh, that might be interesting. And so the very first thing was one of those lights that you put on your forehead, like when you're riding your bike, or like when you're riding at night or whatever, and sometimes it blinks like a strobe light, but it can just stay on also, and it can either be just forward for like when you're riding your bike, or it can tilt down. Well, she reviewed it, and she did it in the daytime, and she did it in a dark room. And if you were to be crocheting and it's getting dark and you really don't have access to a light right near you, that would work in a pinch, to have a light right there, right on your project, and you're still going at it strong. Now, you wouldn't want to do that too much in the dark. I wouldn't think. It would strain your eyes, but in a pinch it would do the job. And then she talked about this wire that you could make into the ring, and I thought, man, she's got some good ideas. Now I can't think of who. I think it was Littlejohn or Long John crochet. Not really sure. I might have to look it up again, and I'll put it in the description, where you can watch these these interesting things that she reviews from different stores, and to see if they're really all they're talking about, or ideas that she thought about doing, like from the Dollar Tree, that could work when you're crochet times. So that kind of stuff interests me. I'm always trying to learn something new, learn something so that I'm not getting stagnant. And my grandparents and their parents and my parents and were all avid readers. They were always learning something new, and trying something new. My grandparents, all four of them, were crafty. They were readers. They were always doing something different and new, and always in trying to get you to think of new ways to do things. And I guess that's where that all comes into play for me and my kids. My kids are all very either crafty or musically inclined, and so just knowing that you can use whatever God gives you to use for whatever reason, whether you need to just fill a day or fill a lifetime, you can have something to do.
Yeah, I had to take the ring off. I'm pushing it too down my finger, and it's starting to cause the top of my finger to not get enough blood flow.
Oh, well, you might have to readjust it.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna have to use more practice with it, figure out how it's gonna work for me.
And it is wire. You can adjust it to your size.
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I've been doing a lot of Bible study recently. I've been doing a lot of reading a lot of self-help books and a lot of things to help me improve. Just like our grandparents, they were learning new things to benefit their life. I've been learning new things to benefit my parenting, my ability to cope with certain things, and my Bible studies have been really showing me kind of a different side of, I guess, the Bible. It's different when you read the Bible as an adult because you see things that you didn't as a kid.
Right.
And there's just been some spots that have been really, really tugging at me and been a little bit more relevant. Like when it talks about Jesus helping us and helping bear our yoke.
Yeah.
As a kid, I always was just like, okay, so he helps us. Like, that's just how I always interpreted it. And then in simple terms, that's really what it's about. But when you are in a scenario where you feel the burden is all on you and you're carrying a lot of weight, when you read something like that and you realize that God's about to put just as much of it on his shoulders and help you carry the weight because he's sharing it with you, when he's willfully taking it on, and all he asks in return is that you carry his yoke as well, that you're going to be in relationship with him, that you're both there for each other, it
changes your life.
It changes your perception of what it means for God to help you. Because he's right there with you. He's sharing the yoke. He's lightening the burden. Now, is the burden still there? Yeah, because it is part of your daily responsibility to bear those things. But does he make it easier? Yes. And it talks about God's yoke not being that hard to bear because he gives you the tools in which how to yield the things that he needs you to do, and he tells you how to do it. He's right there with you. But there's just something about it, because when things get hard,
and they do,
we have a very hard time to stay positive.
Yeah.
It's very hard for us that when we go through something that gives us an emotional response of pain, whether it be physical or mental or circumstantial, we have a very hard time not wondering why it has to happen. Because it interrupts our life. It interrupts what we had control over. We now don't. And it's not anything that is a pleasant. We find ourselves vulnerable, and it feels destructive. A lot of times pain makes us confused and disoriented and very unable to think. And yet some of the biggest people in the Bible, when they talk about in all circumstances and all trials, we're supposed to count it all joy when we meet these trials, because in that way we know that we're doing something.
We have to depend on God, and because of that we get to count it all joy.
Well, yeah, there's a sense of, if we're doing it in the way that God has instructed us to, we're going to be met with opposition, whether it be spiritually attacked or whether it be, the Bible talks about a lot of attacks from the enemy are not flesh and blood. It's not like we in our lifetime are likely to see physical retaliation. Now, I'm not saying that can't happen. I'm not saying that it can't happen in the form of parental or spousal abuse. It doesn't mean that it can't happen with bullying. It can't happen with coming into disagreement with someone who does not have the same temperament or control or same problem solving skills, and they can be very inflicting and very harmful. I'm not saying that physical violence can't happen, but generally a lot of violence comes in the form of mental attacks and how we think. It talks about those fiery thoughts. The fiery arrows of the devil are thoughts that are shot at us, but the devil can't read our minds. And that's something that the Bible does talk about, is that the devil can't read our minds. And so if we don't let what he has implanted out, he doesn't know if it's taken root.
Right.
So we could stop the fiery darts right there by being like, nope, I'm not going to give it power. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to. And it's not that you can't talk about it. It's that by choosing to agree with that thought, you're letting it have power.
Right.
And there's just something to the whole. When we're going under attacks, when we're going through something, we have to count out all joy and knowing that in receiving these attacks, we're doing the right thing. A lot of the times there's something that is bothering the devil.
Right.
About our lives, that he knows that God can use us, and he wants to get our eyes focused on the problem instead of the Father.
Right.
And we have the ability to be like, no.
Right.
Though I sit in darkness, I know my God is going to bring the light. Don't gloat over me, my enemy.
Right.
For you're not winning. You're not going to win.
Right.
And
that's exactly what I'm going to be saying too. Is the scripture I have today is, "Do not sorrow, for the joy of the Lord is your strength," and that's found in Nehemiah 8:10. Do not sorrow. Do not sorrow, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. The joy of the Lord is the strength that you can use to not sorrow in this world. The joy of the Lord is everything that you need, the strength that you need to get through every single day. And it's something that we all need to instill in ourselves to get into our hearts. All we have to know is that God is going to be there for us no matter what we do, no matter how bad we mess up. He doesn't give up on us.
He is continuously faithful.
And do not sorrow, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10.
And mine is Micah 7:8. Again, Micah 7:8. Do not gloat over me, my enemies, for though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. Again, do not gloat over me, my enemies, for though I fall, I will rise again. Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light. Just because the devil gets a couple of blows, if we choose to look to our Father in the midst of the storm, we won't drown. God calls us to sit our eyes on Him in the midst of the storm.
He is the light. He is the light.
And where there is light, darkness cannot be. Something, again, one more thing. A physical example of what light does to darkness. Light, when it's presented against something, will always cast a shadow on the other side.
Yeah.
But what is true light? True light is a flame. It's and generally we know true light as being fire or the sun. But because we have no access to balls of gas of heat all the way, billions of miles away, our closest thing is fire.
Right.
If you're allowed to, if you're not younger,
Yeah.
if you have access to a lighter, if you take that and you put it against, put it against a wall, light has no shadow. When you turn on fire and you present it against something that generally would show its shadow,
Right.
light has no shadow. Pure light has no shadow.
Right.
When God comes, darkness has no place to go.
That is so true.
There's no place for it to go.
There's no place for it to hide.
It cannot survive in light. It cannot exist in light.
True.
And if you let light come into your life, if you make it a particular point to practice looking at God
Oh my gosh.
in the midst of a trouble, darkness cannot be something that can triumph.
Right.
Because even though it might exist, God's light triumphs. It trumps
Yes.
darkness.
Yes.
And
It conquers it.
And it takes a practiced eye, because it really does, to stop looking at the storm. It takes a practiced eye to fix yourself when all of your senses are being so tossed and exposed to the elements of whatever was happening around you, and you say, no, I'm setting my focus on God. It does take practice, but the payoff is that He gives you these things that we can actually laugh in spite of the storm.
Yeah.
Because guess what? When He gives you the joy, all of a sudden the storm doesn't matter. All of a sudden, despite everything going on, you get a reprieve.
Yeah.
And I just, that example has just always been something that has been very good for me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry we've gone over an hour. That was not our intention. I would like to apologize. We are going to try to do better to make it less than 55 minutes, if not 50 minutes. If not, get it back to 45. But we get excited when we talk about Jesus.
Yeah.
And even though we were done talking about our crafting stuff very early on, we hope that you appreciate our share of our Bible studies recently, and that it would help you. If there's anything that you would like to talk to us about, or any prayer requests, there is a link in the description for our direct email that would give us a way to be able to contact and be in contact with you.
Yeah.
We also would love to share anything that you would like to publicly share with us and talk with us about yarn or Jesus. You can put in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to be able to share this with you. That's part of the reason we're here.
Yeah.
We're thankful to be able to be with you. And again, stitch your way
To mental health.